All right, let's go over web accessibility for the 2022-2023 school year. It is currently September 22nd in the year 2022. I want to clarify all that because we are switching to a new platform over Christmas break, and there may be some changes to our web accessibility expectations at that time. So let's cover the 10 things to remember about web accessibility. First, use alt tags for images. So whenever you're uploading an image, there's going to be a section called alternate text. You're going to want to make sure that you fill that out. I will show you what that looks like. So over here in Benjamin Banneker, we have this lovely Bitmoji of Karen Bean. So the alternate text would say a Bitmoji caricature of Karen Bean. We want to make sure that we put that in there so that when a screen reader is looking at this page and explaining to the user what it is, it will show this information or read this information, out loud to the user. Alternate text has another useful feature, which is slow loading or slow internet will sometimes cause an image to not display. And in lieu of the actual image, a website will show the alternate text. So this is actually an accessibility feature for everybody because sometimes you're on your phone and you don't have good signal and you want to know what the picture was. So alternate text is actually useful for all users, not just vision impaired users. Now, keep in mind, if you feel that the image is in no way useful, meaningful, or actionable, so that is to say that the image is just there as window dressing, as decoration, it is not a button that you need to click, it doesn't have words that are telling you to do anything, it doesn't have direct impact on the material that you're presenting, you can go ahead and just put quote, quote, with no space, and that will count as a decorative image. Best practice, though, is to go ahead and just put an alternative text there because the quote quotes, I believe, will show up if the image doesn't load. So it's always better to have some alternative text there. And that is a change to last year's web accessibility stuff. So you really should always consider having that alternative text there. What about a picture with words? What do we have to do for that? So going to this example, we've got the hang in there kitten motivational poster hanging in every other classroom. A story of our time, for sure. So for the alternative text, I put motivational poster of a kitten struggling in a tree that says, hang in there. Any words that are on your image, you need to put in the alt text. If there are too many words in your image to fit in your alt text, you need to rewrite all of the words below the picture. That is how it works. So my advice, avoid pictures that have a lot of words. All right. Moving on to the next section, use contextual and descriptive text for links. Now, this is an area that we all continue to struggle in. When you are linking something from your page or from a document you plan to put online, you need to understand that the new requirement for links is that the link can be read all by itself and it will explain what it does. So you can't rely on anything else on the page. No other words, no other sentences. The link itself has to explain what it does. So you can't put something like here and make the word here into a hyperlink. You can't put click here. You can't even use the word click. So don't do it. What you need to do is you need to write a sentence that explains what the link is. So learn more about Sherwood High School is a great example. I know that if I click on learn more about Sherwood High School, I will go there. Or if I press on it, or however means that I'm activating that hyperlink, I will go and learn more about Sherwood High School. You cannot post the actual URL. That looks bad. Don't do it. And you need to make sure that, again, it can stand all by itself. If a screen reader was to read just the hyperlinks of a page, it can't just read link here, click here, link here. It doesn't make any sense. Every single hyperlink needs to be a sentence that explains what it does, period. All right, next up is font formatting guidelines. So with this, don't use color to convey the importance of something. Don't rely on color for anything. A lot of people are colorblind, some more than others. You can't say everything in red is important. You can't say students will be sorted by color and then color code the students' names. You can't do that. So don't use color to format any of your text. Don't. The other thing, and people are still having trouble with this, do not underline anything. Do not underline anything. This also applies to documents that you plan to publish on the internet. The internet only wants hyperlinks to be underlined. Do not underline your text. Do not underline your text. Do not underline your text. All right. Number 4 is headings. So currently on our website, which is Joomla, we use headings, and headings must begin at heading number 3, and then subheadings of heading number 3 would be 4, and so on and so forth. Starting a new category, you go back to heading number 3. What is a heading? A heading is a way to divide up content within a document. This is a tool that is in Google Docs, it's in Microsoft Word, and you want to make sure that you're utilizing it. It's on this website right now. You can see as I scroll through that some of the words are big and bold, and they draw my attention to them. Headings are designed to draw the eye to them. Now, you can manually format headings, but nowadays we don't do that. Nowadays we have tools that actually designate something to be a heading, and it automatically sets up the formatting and all that good stuff. That's great, but that tool does another thing. It flags the heading as a heading and what type of heading it is. So heading 3, heading 4, a title, a subtitle, things like that. That makes it so that the screen reader can quickly navigate the page for a vision impaired user. So it's very important. In fact, it is mandatory that you use headings correctly to benefit all users. All users benefit from good headings. Please make sure that you're using headings correctly and you're using headings responsibly. Do not use the heading tool just to quickly format your text. It doesn't matter how important you think something is. It should not be a heading unless it's actually a heading. And a heading is something short and sweet that explains all the content that is about to follow it. It is not a small paragraph that you think is really important. You don't mark that as a heading. All right. The next section is use text, not images, in page titles and navigation elements. So what this is saying is please avoid buttons and banners whenever possible. Just rely on text. Text does the job. Text is fine. Text can also be set up as headings very easily, and images cannot. On our school websites, we do have images set up here as the title for the page. We had to go in and manually code this in the HTML and the CSS scripting. It was not very easy to set up. So don't do that. Just use text and heading tools and you will be fine. All right, be careful when posting PDFs. So we need PDFs. We're an organization that uses PDFs. We want PDFs. PDFs are good. What can we do to make sure our PDFs are as accessible as possible? All right. The number one thing to do is don't scan to PDF. Don't scan to PDF. Don't use your desktop scanner. Don't have the secretary use the desktop scanner. Don't use the Minolta to scan to your email and then post it. If you are posting something to the public, if it's going to be on our website, if it's going to be sent out to people, it cannot be a PDF that was created by scanning. You can't do that. All right, so how are we supposed to create PDFs if we don't scan them? Take whatever you're doing over to Word And then from Word, you're going to go to File, and you're going to click Save as Adobe PDF. If you do not have this option, you're going to go ahead and choose, Export, and then you're going to create Adobe PDF. And if you still don't have that option, when you go to save it, you're going to look for PDF as the file type that you could save it as. So that's 3 different ways that you could do it. You're always going to want to try to use Word, and then from Word, turn it into a PDF. That is because Microsoft is a leader in accessibility, and they make the most accessible PDFs. How do you know if a document is accessible? How do we know if a screen reader can read a PDF? The easiest way to test it is to left click and drag on the document on the PDF. If you are able to left click, drag, and select some text, that means that it's at least screen reader friendly. If you go to left click and drag and the whole thing lights up, or you aren't able to select anything, that means that it's a scanned image. It's not accessible. Do not host it on your site. We don't want it. We're not going to use it. What about PowerPoint presentations? And what about Excel documents? As long as they are Microsoft PowerPoint presentations and Microsoft Excel documents, you can host them as is on your website. That is how accessible Microsoft has become. We can host the raw spreadsheets and PowerPoint presentations, and they will be web accessible as is. All right, if you want even more information about how to make the most accessible PDF possible, you can head over to the Google site for web editing resources, and there will be a link there that will walk you through the process. All right, tables. We try to limit tables whenever possible, but we still need tables. Right now in Joomla, we can't make accessible tables using the native tools. You have to ask the webmaster, who is me, or my assistant, to go and make you a new table. Now, you should be able to edit existing tables with the native tools in Joomla, but the tool itself doesn't make them accessible. We have to go in and manually code those ourselves. So just keep in mind with tables, they are allowed, but the tables need to be set up properly, and that includes using row and column headers where appropriate. To give you an example of this, we'll go to a staff directory, and you can see that headings are in place to divide the staff up into the different specializations and areas of the school. And then the tables within are sorting the staff members. So this heading section here is saying that in this column are names, in this column are contacts, and in this column are their positions. And every time a screen reader is going through this, it will repeat the name and then the contact and then the position, so that on a very big table that has a lot of information and a lot of data, the vision impaired user is reminded each time what the value is that they are being read. So this is very important for any sort of table that would communicate numbers, for example. It'd be very hard to keep track of which numbers are which unless the screen reader was repeating those values to you. All right, then we've got videos. Right now, we only support YouTube videos. YouTube provides free closed captioning for your videos. Any videos that you want to put on your Google sites, any videos that you want to put on your websites, they have to be hosted on YouTube. If you would like to know how to upload a video to YouTube, there is a video right here on this web editing resources Google site that will walk you through the steps of setting up your YouTube and getting your videos up onto it so that you can link to them and make sure that they have that free closed captioning service. Do not use Vimeo. Do not host it on your Google Drive. It has to be on YouTube. That's what we're using. All right. Then we've got make sure contrast between text and background color is sufficient. So what you need to do is just make sure that you're using something very dark on something very light, or something very, very light on something very dark. White on black is great. Black on white is great. Things to avoid would be very bright colors on other bright colors, very dark colors on very dark colors, blue on blue, any shade of blue on any other shade of blue would be very hard to read. Red with just about anything is very hard to read, so be careful with the color red. On your websites, you shouldn't have too much control over the colors, but this also is for any hosted content that you make or any sort of publication that you plan to put onto the internet. Again, the easiest thing for you to do is just make it black on white and move on with your life. And then finally, we cannot post any blinking, flashing, or flickering elements. This includes any videos that we have linked to and any animated GIFs that we are using. We do not want anyone to have a seizure. We do not want anyone to get sick. So you are responsible for any video that you link to. So if you do link to a video and that video has flashing, blinking, or flickering elements, and somebody watches it and is injured as a result, you are liable, we are liable. So please make sure you are vetting all of the media content that you host or link to make sure that it doesn't have these sorts of things in it. And that is the state of our web accessibility as of September 22nd, 2022.